How old is too old to model? Today on the podcast, we have Meredith McGrane, a 44-year-old petite model who started in the 2000s. We chatted about modeling while having a corporate job, while pregnant, after having a baby, what it was like to take a break and come back in her 40s, and everything she has learned during this journey. All right, thank you so much, Meredith, for being on the podcast. How are you today?
I am wonderful. It's lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. I am so excited to ask you so many questions because you have 20 years of experience in the industry. So first of all, let's start with the main question is how did you start? How old were you? And how tall are you?
I am 5'4". Mm-hmm. I have been in this industry for 20 years total, but there was a break in between when my daughter was little, and I'll get to that. I can start from the beginning, and what I can do, because I feel like has potential to be a long story. Okay. What I can do is sort of give you a framework, an overview, try to keep it high level, and then from there we can go back and revisit any points you want to. I'll try to give the overview, if you will, because I don't want it to get too lengthy. But I am 44 years old. I started doing this in the year 2000. I am born and raised in Massachusetts. I live north of Boston. I'm a mom, and I graduated college.
Okay.
In 1998. And started working in high-tech PR, which was a pretty good paying job at the time, actually. And once I had to get an apartment, a car, I had student loans, I had just, utilities and all those bills. Mm-hmm. And I realized very quickly that the money was just going out the door very fast. And I started, I was talking to my parents and started thinking that I need to get a second job or something. Boston's a very expensive place to live.
Okay. Yeah.
And, not quite New York or LA or San Fran, but it's pretty high up there.
I've heard.
Massachusetts in general, it's pretty expensive to live here. Mm-hmm. And, I'm a new college grad. I have a pretty great job, and, I was barely making ends meet, to be honest. And I had, talked to my parents, and I said, I feel like maybe need to get a second job. Waitress or catering or something. I just to try to have spending money and be able to put money into savings and a 401k and stuff like that. And, modeling was actually my mom's idea.
Oh, really?
It was something yes. Oh, wow. She's going to love this part of the story. It was something she had always wanted me to do. She tried encouraging me when I was in high school, and I was into sports. I was into my friends. I just wasn't into it. And, but then she brought it up at this point, and I'm the one that said, yeah, isn't that for tall girls? This doesn't seem like it would be for me. And she felt, I don't know if she heard word of mouth, or she just felt like that wasn't the case, and that there was opportunity in Boston.
Wow,
I had always been very outgoing and, a big personality and friendly and outgoing. I'm, not generally a shy person. I always got compliments on my smile. So, my mom felt like I could be really good at this. And I really, I really sort of just said to her, oh, okay, fine. Look into it. Look into it and let me know what you come up with.
Uh-huh.
And she did. And this was really before the internet as we know it. So she had to do some actual phone calling around, and she found a place that is no longer in business. So I won't mention their name, but, we put a small package together of just some information about me and snapshots, the same way, it's really done online now with, just that that you don't need professional photos to just initially submit. You can just send snapshots. Yeah. And that's what we did. And this one agency wanted to meet with me. Mm-hmm. And I went in for the appointment, and they signed me. And
oh my God.
So I don't have sort of, but I mean, it's also not New York. It's not LA. I mean, it is Boston. So I don't have, I mean, we're a major market. We're not in the middle of nowhere, but it is, not New York and LA. But they wanted to work with me, and that was that.
And how old were you? Were you like 24?
So this was closer to so I actually had to go back to my computer and do try to pull up old files to get a timeline for you, because it was so long ago. It was the end of 1999. So call it 2000. Okay. And they wanted to work with me. They signed me. I put some, had my one photo shoot and put, my comp card together, and had my very first audition sometime later. Which was for Rebook, and it was some sort of, I don't remember, but it was going to be a video. It was either like something that would run on a reel, like an in-store video.
My God,
or
so cool.
Went to my first audition and I got it. It's a very strange, I know, I got my very first audition, and I remember sort of initially kind of thinking, well, this doesn't seem difficult at all. I would learn later that rejection does come, believe me. But initially I was like, well, this is working out really lovely for me. I got my very first audition. I had to be a tennis player. And I had played tennis growing up. I had, I definitely knew how to play tennis. I'm not, very pro level or anything, but I knew enough to obviously fake it in Yeah. And I got it. And with this first agency I was with them for 2 years before I moved to my current agency. Okay. So in those 2 years, I definitely did not work a ton. What I was doing felt great, because it was corporations around here that were household names. I did work with Staples and Hasbro, and I wrote some stuff down. I did more with Rebook. There were tech companies at the time that were, names that people were familiar with. So I felt like I was doing some cool high level stuff. Yeah. But I definitely, So it was neat, for a Boston girl. But I definitely wasn't working very much at all. And I didn't really have a framework of what would be working a lot or not a lot. Looking back now, I know that I wasn't working a lot, but at the time I was grateful for anything that was coming. Yeah. I was still working in high tech PR. Full time. I was a recent college grad, living in an apartment, having fun, traveling, dating. I was like, life is great. So when the modeling jobs came, I did them. And then if it was quiet for a while, I just went and lived my life. I wasn't really aware, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. It makes sense. Yeah.
At the time, because it was just sort of something like I was doing for fun. It was the motivation in the beginning, like I said, was money, and the extra money was definitely wonderful. But it was very fun. I learned very quickly it was the creative outlet I didn't even know that I needed, to have sort of a corporate job by day, but then have this little really fun creative side thing that I do. And over time, I mean, I can get into this later, but over time it has truly grown into, very much a creative part of me, the creative process I love the most, but we'll get to that. Yeah. So for 2 years I was with this other agency, and like I said, not, working a ton, but when I did work, you chat with the hair and makeup people, you chat with the stylist, you're all kind of, off in an area, when you're not on set. And, inevitably we would all just say, oh, who are you with? And peers, definitely my peers when I was shooting, and everyone would say, who are you with? And I would say the name, and, everyone. And it was really mostly the hair and makeup and stylists that would say, oh, you need to be with Maggie. Oh, you really need to be with Maggie. Maggie's the best. She's the best. That place is the best. You're going to work more. Everyone kept saying it, and I probably maybe heard it a half a dozen times and I realized I need to be with Maggie. Yeah, I think I need to at least apply. I need to at least, send over what I've done and see what happens. So I did. This was, again, everything was in the mail. So I put my current comp card, any tear sheets I had at the time, a little resume, a little cover note, and mailed it off to Maggie, and they wanted to meet with me. And I think, in hindsight, I don't know if I had submitted to them before, I don't know if they would have wanted to meet with me. I think those 2 years with the smaller agency were almost like my development years. Like I got a little something going before I submitted to,
like a big,
what is known as really, a big agency, and still around a lot now 20 years later, a lot of the other ones have fallen away, and my agency remains just a absolute powerhouse and mainstay in Boston for sure.
Nice.
So I submitted, and this is when Maggie was still, there was a Maggie at Maggie, and she is no longer with us. But I met with her, and she signed me. That was that story. Again, I was like, God, this is so easy. It's not.
Yeah.
But, and I probably was there. So everything changed, like more jobs, higher rates, just better everything, just absolutely better everything. Nice. And I probably was there from guessing about a year before I was like, all right, I want to do better. I want to know how can I improve myself? How can I just sort of what can I do more better? How can I grow? I got much more motivated. I got more into it, than I had been early on. And I asked to have a meeting with her, and I shared, what I just said that my goals were. And she did what was like, I can now describe as like a Tyra Banks style America's Next Top Model, like makeover, suggested workshops. She set me up with photographers. Like it was, I don't know. And I wonder if that would have happened if I hadn't asked for it. They're a busy agency. They signed me. I just started working. Like I hit the ground running and went. And, I don't know. I don't know if she would eventually reached out to me and said, hey, I want to have a meeting with you. I want to talk about your career. But certainly she was very willing and very wonderful when I reached out and asked for it. At the time, set me up with a salon to go to. I got like a haircut, a brow shaping. I got a whole makeover. She had a lot of suggestions about how to just, take my book to the next level. And my personal style, wanted me to do better with learning how to do my makeup, and suggested some workshops. I mean, just everything. And then after that, everything changed again. And I had maybe like 4 to 5 really good years.
Nice.
Where I had been working full time early on and doing this part time, I was somewhat able to switch, or at least I then made the switch from working full time in the corporate world to part time there and part time modeling. So I was able to financially do that. But I didn't have my daughter then. I was just taking care of myself. So, and then, that was a good, like I said, 4 or 5 year stretch. And then I got pregnant. I got married and I got pregnant, and I was still working when I was pregnant. I do parts work, also in addition to print work and in addition to commercials. But when I was pregnant, I was able to do hand and shoe stuff because you couldn't see the belly. But I also did actual, like baby product stuff, like real pregnant belly. So there's some companies, headquartered up here that do baby product stuff that I worked with.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was it was great. I thought, well, this is lovely. We can just, do some parts, do some belly.
Yeah.
And my daughter was born in 2007. I maybe was home with her like I think about 4 months before the phone started ringing, people wondering where I was. And I went back. I went back, and I, had the support of my family to do so, and went back to work, and was back for about 2 years when my daughter started presenting with some developmental challenges. I needed to, go into some therapy. I'll keep this part brief, but as time went on, she was diagnosed with high functioning autism. She's doing great today, but it was that is why I stepped away. I stepped away because my family needed me. And I had to devote myself to what she needed. And then, so I was gone for 6 years, and then I got divorced, and then I turned 40. And with the encouragement of my friends and family, I decided to go back to modeling. And I reached out to my same agency. Maggie was no longer there, but Casey is now the owner at Maggie. I reached out to him, asked for a meeting, told him my whole story, about divorce, my daughter, shared everything, and just said, if you're willing to take a chance on me again, let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can come back, if I can make it work. And I am proud to say it is like the comeback of my life. That I just reinvented my whole life, and, have a great amicable relationship with my ex-husband. He's supportive, but was able to just come back at age 40. And that might have been closer to even 41 when I came back, but, and I've been back for 3 years. So I have like two origin stories, the first one and the one being back. And in some ways nothing's changed. I'm doing so many things that are very similar to what I did before. And even more. I mean, I even more than I've ever imagined. So that's the overview that I attempted to keep short.
It's an amazing story. And I think you touch on so many things that people are usually like worried about, your personal life and your age and getting pregnant and, taking responsibility of your daughter and like kind of like having like a pause in your career and then coming back and, willing to like not start over, but, you kind of like had to like, you have a 6-year break is kind of like long. And then, be like, what, I'm going to go back. It's just like not easy to do that. So I love your story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
It's a wild one.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I love it. So going from like all of the things that you've shared with us, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, was like, what about height in your career? Like, has it ever been something that has discouraged you, or, any of your agents, like before or right now, if like, for example, you voice that you wanted to do something, have they ever been like, oh, like, sorry, like, you're too short, like, or like, too bad you're not like a little bit taller, you have to do this instead of this? Like, have you ever, deal with that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was like when I was younger. I feel like my answer is going to be a little bit all over the place. It's such a mix. I mean, there's definitely been times where I have felt it, like I wanted to hold myself back. Like I'd get, asked to go to an audition or even get the job. And I'm thinking, did they see my height? Are you sure they saw my sizes? Are you sure? You're positive they want me?
Like you're thinking they're making a mistake, like
kinda. And, not because I lack confidence, but I don't want to misrepresent myself. It's interesting. I think in some ways when I was younger, in some ways, and maybe this is like I don't know. In some ways, I do feel like my agent, in a good way, was clear, wanted to be clear, wanted to accurately represent what they could and could not in their best opinion do for me. And I do remember a conversation where it was sort of like, these are the types of things you'll probably do. And sort of like, these are the types of things you probably won't do. And in my very stubborn young mind, I do remember thinking, okay, well, we'll see about that. Like, we'll see about that. I think I have then and now I attempt to strike what I would say is a realistic balance between wanting to push myself, wanting someone to believe in me, wanting to always have aspirations. It can be very easy in any profession to get very comfortable with, well, this is what I do. Yeah. And that's what so I think a really healthy balance of, being very happy and appreciative and grateful for what I do get booked for, and having a percentage of me that's aspirational and where I'd like to see myself going. And I think it really does take a balance. If you're not you, but just someone listening, if you're really, just so dead set on only doing petite fashion, and you think being in a ad for CVS and a ad for Samsung I'm trying to think of some of the things I've done recently.
Google Facebook.
If you're thinking, oh, that's not cool, that's not sexy, that's not glamorous, I don't want to work, I only want to be petite fashion, you're going to really limit yourself. And at least around where I live, I can't speak to other markets, but I think, it takes, like I said, some sort of a healthy balance. But then I did, a job recently that I specifically, like, I auditioned. I went in, this was, the audition was one of the last ones I went on in March before life shut down. So it got postponed and we didn't shoot until June. But it was for Clark Shoes, and it was going to be, not just feet, it was full body, and definitely more on the fashion-y side, not shoe catalog, but shoe fashion. The product was shoes, but it was head to toe. They had me in beautiful clothing, and I went to, when I got the audition, I'm thinking, are they sure? Did they see my height? Go to the audition, get the job with other models. The day of the shoot, they're all like 5'9" and me. And I'm thinking, why am I here? But I mean, they believed in me. They believed in me. They saw, I do photograph taller than I am. I certainly don't look like I'm 5'10" or anything, but I do photograph taller than I am. But, and here I'm thinking, I got this job. Are you sure I got this job? How did I get this job? But they saw me in person. They chose me. They saw something in me I wasn't seeing. So I feel like it's,
I know.
I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
It's all over the place. It really is.
Because for me, and what I want to and with your story, and I think that's clear, is that when you're saying talking about like balance between the goals that you want to achieve and the things that you want to achieve versus the things that you can do, is kind of like, the way that I want to put it out is basically like, don't place your worth and your happiness on a certain agency or a certain job, because that's, even if you get it, that's not going to make you happy. Happy is being grateful with what you have right now, with your relationships, with your friends, your family. It's not on job. It's not on money. It's not on things like that, So I do think I want big things for myself. I want to be signed to top modeling agencies. I want to do fashion, but at the same time,
you're doing fantastic, girl, by the way. I checked you out. You're doing fantastic.
Thank you. But, I want to do big things, but at the same time, I know that even if I don't get there, I know that my hard work will still get me in a really good position in my life, and I'm going to be happy, Even for some reason I don't get there, I'm still gonna be happy. So that's like what I want people to like understand with their own career, because I sometimes get messages from girls that are like, 15 and they're like 5'4" and they're like, oh my God, like if I don't do fashion, like I'm gonna be so sad. They don't say in that words, but basically that's what they're saying. Yeah. And I'm just like, wait. Like commercials work. It's like really fun, actually. It pays so well, Seriously. I mean, sometimes I'm like, what? The money's on this side. What do you thinking? It is. Like it is. So,
and it is really fun. It has been, it truly has been the ride of my life. It's been the ride of my life. It's been the thing I've done the longest, which is really funny. I've been, modeling longer than I've been a mom. Uh-huh. It outlasted my marriage. It's outlasted every job. I've been doing this longer than anything else in my life.
Yeah.
And it is really fun. It takes us places that would never normally get to go, and people would never normally get to meet. Yeah.
So with that, what have been some of your proudest moments as a model, if you haven't like shared them already?
No, I do. I thought about this. I do have two of my most proudest moments. They're recent, and I work with so many great people. I've done so many wonderful projects over the years. It was sort of hard to really pick two.
Yeah, I know. It's really hard.
But the two I picked were for very specific reasons. One, I actually have something here I can show you. So a couple years ago, when I went back to Maggie, one of my first jobs was I booked the cover of Boston Magazine.
Okay.
And it is not Vogue, it is not Cosmo, but if you live around here, Boston Magazine is a wonderful, well-respected publication. We all grew up with Boston Magazine on our coffee tables, and, to book a cover of something.
Yeah.
Around here, it's pretty wonderful. And I was very excited. And when I went, and I have it down here, when I went to, I didn't know beforehand what I was going to be shooting, but when I arrived, I was told it was the cover story, the cover image reflecting an inside story on the pay inequality between men and women at the corporate level. So, very, timely, important, and that they were planning to photograph me from just the lips down, because the whole point of this, and I very much understood this, and I was, even though I wouldn't necessarily be recognizable, the scope of what we were doing, I knew how important it was, because the point of photographing me from the lips down was, you weren't supposed to see any one specific woman or any one specific ethnicity. I was supposed to be representing all women, all women that, feel this pay inequality in their lives personally, or just knowing it is out there as a woman. And we shot it at the Boston Magazine offices, which was really cool to, be able to be in there where the magic happens. And a member of the, I don't remember his exact title, but a member of the editorial board and the photographer and I, when I got there, that, they pulled me aside, all three of us, and it just felt like a very important moment for me. They shared what the article was about, and that I was needing to bring it to life. I was chosen to, bring a visual representation of what was inside to life with only half my face. Yeah. So, my direction was that I had to, portray, I don't remember the exact words, but something along the lines of like powerful and pissed off.
That's hard to do with just half your face.
Yeah, powerful but pissed. Like, why don't I make as much money as you for the same work? Yeah. Proud and disgruntled, determined yet mad. This was my direction, and I felt the importance of what I was being asked to do for, in my own very small way, in a sense, but, inside was an art, and I wasn't able to read the article until the issue came out, but, I could understand what they were telling me. And inside was an article, that some writer researched, put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, interviewed women who shared their personal stories. And I had to participate in representing that, and hopefully, inspire people to buy the magazine and take it home and want to read more. So I was an indirect, part of that process, but it felt really great. And here it is.
Oh, wow.
So, that's my powerful yet pissed face, apparently. And, it just, I was really proud. I was really proud to be a part of that. I think I would have been so thrilled and so proud to be in absolutely anything on the cover of Boston Magazine. But, this was just, an important issue for women, and remains one. So
amazing.
That's my first one. If we have time, I can do a quick second one.
Go ahead.
Because actually for the second one, it was one of the most recent things I did. I just shot it in August. I actually signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't even really talk about it too much.
Okay.
Other than to say, and when it eventually comes out, I'll share it with you, and I'll share it on social media. But I auditioned, and then I went to a callback audition. So, the long list, the short list, the shorter list.
Yeah.
And was one of two women selected to portray a same-sex marriage, a two mommy family.
Okay.
And for this product, and again, I can't, say too much about that, but it just blew my mind that it's taken, all these years for that to be not that this is going to be the first ad ever, where, a same-sex couple is portrayed, but for me, it is. And so all these years later, everything I've done to be, portraying this in an ad, I did feel so proud, and we were paired with a family, and I remember thinking during the time, and I feel this way very much now. What means so much to me is some family somewhere will be able to see this ad for this product, and especially a child. I love that some child somewhere will see this and see themselves represented in this ad. They will see their world in this ad. They'll just see themselves represented and included. That means a lot to me. So that's all I can say. But it's really cool. It's really progressive and wonderful. Even, when to see this change and this can potentially segue into something else. I know you wanted to talk about, just to see this change in the industry in general, to see different body types, different physical abilities. I walk into Target and we'll shop in the kids section for my daughter, and there's children in wheelchairs.
Beautiful.
If in clothing ads, and I think, oh, this is wonderful that a child is going to come in here and see himself or herself represented in that way. Yeah. The curve models and exactly what we're talking about here, petite models.
Yes.
We are actually more, typically sized than, we are, a woman who's 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, we're literally the average woman height. So I don't understand why we're not, represented, but things are changing.
Things are changing for sure.
So,
yes.
In your career, is there something, I'm sure that there's a lot of things that you've learned, but is there something that you've learned, that you will tell your younger self?
One of the things I, would tell my younger self, and I'm still working on this, if I'm being completely honest, is, the way in which I have and still continue to downplay what I do. I will catch myself saying, "Oh, I'm just a petite model. oh, I'm just a lifestyle model. Oh, I'm on the lifestyle side. I don't do what the tall girls do. And I need to stop that. Yeah. I wish I didn't spend my entire 20s saying that. It's definitely important to be humble, but, again, to strike that balance between, this is what I do, and this is what I'm good at, and I get paid for it. I've been getting paid for it for the better part of 20 years. Like, I don't need to walk around anymore and say I'm just anything. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Totally. Don't 100%. Yeah. Like, I sometimes battle with that too. And I also tell myself, like, I am a model just like any other model. Like, we all do different jobs. Not because I'm not like a fashion model, that doesn't mean I'm less of a model, And I even see it on like big agencies. Like, there are commercial lifestyle models signed to top modeling agencies that don't do the fashion side of it, So if they're in that big agency and they're very successful, very well known, why am I not feeling proud of like what I do right now because I don't do fashion, So I totally understand what you're saying. Like, I sometimes I am there too, and I'm just like, wait, like, I'm totally like on the same level as anybody else that is doing fashion, just because we do different things. Like, but it's still modeling. It's still the same job. Like, we're getting paid. We're working for amazing brands. So I totally understand like the struggle that you're telling me. And now to move a little bit more to like something else, is like, what would you tell now the new like younger generation of models are coming into like the industry? And this is something that we kind of like discussed previously. It was about like putting your phone down. And like,
and I have notes. Hold on, I have some notes for this.
Well, you find your notes. I'm just gonna share, and it's like, and this I told you on the email. It was like I think I was watching a live from supermodel Coco Rocha. And she actually said that. She was saying how when you go to castings, you should put your phone down and you should be aware of like, the people that are around you. Bring a book, talk to the models that are around you, not be like super focused on like your phone. And I really want you to like talk about it, because for example, me, like, I'm on my phone, and it's just because I feel like I don't have anybody to talk to, and, might as well just scroll while I wait. I don't really think much about it. So from your inside experience, like, what would you tell somebody like younger that's on their phone?
I definitely, and we can definitely move into this portion of the chat. And I do have some notes. But I very much, I very much wanted to talk to you for the purposes of wanting to give back to a younger, just wanting to give back. I don't know who's going to actually hear this, what young impressionable ears this podcast is going to fall on, but there's so many people that have helped me and mentored me and answered my questions. For a really long time, that I wanted to give back to you and your listeners what I can to help, share what I've learned. And so taking the put your phone down thing, it's a combination of everything you said. And so I'm an older generation. I didn't grow up with the phone. So I grew up at a time where you did just sit there with a book or talk to people. But I think there's so many wonderful things about social media. Instagram, TikTok, all of those things. It is important to show behind the scenes. Here's where I am today. It shows people you're working. It shows that you're staying busy. It's all good. The behind the scenes, the TikTok, posting on Instagram, it's all good stuff, but it can't, in my opinion, it cannot replace just talking to people. And I don't even mean networking, like you have to go in kind of like with a game plan and schmoozing, I see it happening too often. There has to be, again, a balance of, I did a TikTok video. I'm not even on TikTok, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. But your stuff's great.
Thank you.
That I see on Instagram. So yes, there has to be some sort of a balance of, I did a TikTok. I took a couple behind the scenes things. I'll save it for later. I'll post it tonight. And then you put, you put your phone down and you be present, not you, but just all of us, myself included, be present in that room, be present at that shoot. If you, again, the collective you, if you are on your phone the whole time, I think you are doing yourself a gigantic disservice, because you could be talking to your peers. Disclaimer, as long as you're not being disruptive, as long as no one's being, talking during shooting or not being where they're supposed to be or being disruptive. I mean, like during hair and makeup, chat with hair and makeup, during the downtime, during lunch, during break. It's a little different now with, social distancing, but people can still have a conversation. And I think there needs to be a better balance of, I got the social media stuff and now I'm just here in this room and I'm talking and listening. That's the most important. I did a job recently with a woman in her 60s, and she had a lot of great things to say that I loved hearing. She has 20 years on me. And if I had been on my phone the whole time, we wouldn't have had this amazing conversation. Yeah. And it's, hair and makeup, wardrobe, production assistants, they're a wealth of information. Your peers, a wealth of information. Just chat. What have you been up to? Here's what I've been doing. It's just chatting and information sharing. And especially, if someone younger is working with someone older, this is, if it's a big production, the bigger the shoot, the more the downtime. So chat. This is someone you can learn from. I'm learning from I don't want to make it seem like I'm only learning from someone in their 60s. I'm learning from the younger generation about doing better at my social media and things like that. I just think it's critical. It really is to just chat and listen and ask questions. And even when you're not shooting, as close as you can get to set, as long as you're not doing anything you're not supposed to. But just watch. It's like watching a workshop unfold before you. Watch what the other talent is doing when it's not your turn. Listen, just kind of eavesdrop, listen to the feedback, listen to the director, listen to the client, because there's so much to be learned from just observing what's around you as well. Yeah. And I feel like that's the biggest thing I would love to share is, and it probably doesn't sound profound until someone does it at their next job and they're like, oh, I would have missed out on all of this scrolling on Instagram the whole time I'm sitting here. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, for sure. I know what you're saying. Yeah, because I've had great conversations with models, makeup artists, directors, like whoever it is on set that I have a chat with. It's always an amazing informational conversation, So, and I learn things, I connect with people, I get another job, I get another agency. Yes. So it's just, it is true. It is true what you're saying. That you should shoot with this person. You should find this person on social media. Totally. Yeah. And I think, so one of the other things that I felt was very important, and not everyone might agree with me, but I think it's, I see models not doing this, and I'm not always sure why. I think it's incredibly important on the various social media outlets to share not just your photos from test shoots or headshots or, look, those types of portfolio shots. I think it's incredibly important to share the final product of your work, the commercial, even if it's only, the commercial, a screen grab of the commercial, the final ad. And you'll, I see some of that on your Instagram, which is wonderful. And you'll see it on mine as well, because it's what I feel separates the working model from, I'm going to catch a lot of slack for this, the working model from the Instagram model. Okay. And I think it's important to share and show I am working and this is what I'm doing. It just shows people what you can do. It shows range. You could be in a suit and something corporate 1 minute, and then a mom. I saw some of your mom stuff. Yeah. I have that too, except that they book my kids older now. I don't get the babies anymore. But hey, look, I'm in a suit. Now here I'm in scrubs. Here I'm a mom. Here I did something kind of fashiony. Here I'm in a commercial, non-speaking, and here I'm in a commercial where I'm speaking. And it's so important to show that stuff. And I see it, whether it's in my industry or just people I follow on Instagram in general. And I think, and if it's someone I know, sometimes I think, I know you're doing great stuff. Why are you not sharing it? Why, because then if it's just all test shoots, it might appear to someone that you're not a working model. Yeah. You're, not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, people can model for a hobby. Yeah. Model for a hobby. Go for it. It's amazing. Yeah. But I think it's important. I don't see it happening enough. Yeah. I don't know,
I totally understand what you're saying.
People aren't going to know what you're good at unless you tell them what you're good at. They're not mind readers. Yeah. And so, say it. And there's a way to say it with gratitude and humble, to be humble. But, and I'll bounce things off my friends to make sure I'm achieving that goal. But to say, don't just post something and not give a little explanation, or, and especially you got to tag people. I see people not tag. You got to tag and give credit. It's so important. But, a little something saying, oh, hey, I did this commercial and I did the voiceover this day too. They're not going to know it's your voice unless you tell them. They're not going to know. So then you're showing, I did these two really cool things. Not only am I in the video, but hey, I did the voiceover too. And now someone out there knows that you can do that, and they wouldn't know you can do that if you don't tell them you can do that. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, and you do a fantastic job with your stuff, but, just taking the time in a little caption, say what you did, say who was there, thank people. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it's important, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I completely agree with what you're saying. And like, to expand on that, because like I've taken like Coco Rocha like model camp, and I'm gonna find her. Yeah. And also like I saw live from a casting director. I think they both touched on this, and it was like they were just saying how your feed cannot just be, like you said, just test shoots and portfolio photos, because if a casting director or an agent is trying to see like what you look like, they know these photos are edited. They know that these photos have professional lighting, professional makeup. So this is not a true representation of who you are. It shows what you can do, but it's not a true representation of what you look like, and they want to see what you look like. They want to see your personality. They want to see if you have any other hobbies, any other talents. And like what you said is like this I think it was the casting director or Coco Rocha. They were saying how they want to see a mix in your Instagram of you're working and you have like what you said, like this commercial that you did, this ad, whatever, and maybe a test shoot. But they also want to see regular photos that you took with your iPhone. Like you're walking and on the sidewalk, you're chilling in your room, you went out somewhere with a view, like, just like regular plain photos that are not edited, that they don't have filters on it and things like that. So and it's true what you're saying, that a lot of like aspiring models, because I feel like most of the people that do that are aspiring models, their entire feed is just professional test shoots, and they don't show the real
raw images of their everyday life and what they do and their personality.
Yep.
So it's very important. And if you even compare I'm
trying to get better at that myself. And so to validate what you're saying, my agent told me the same thing. A couple years ago when I got on Instagram, and I was so new to it. I didn't get on until I only got on for this purpose. And, for the purposes of having it be, more work oriented. But yeah, that was the same. The feedback he gave me for sure was to.
And even if you compare your, inspiring models feed that's like full of test shoots, and you compare it to a top model, you notice that top models are not sharing. They rarely even share their like professional photos. They're usually sharing their selfies on their bedrooms, selfies on their bathroom. They went out with a friend and had some like salad or pancakes or whatever. They have a photo of them being on set, which shows that they're working. Then after I don't know how many posts, maybe they share, they got the cover of Vogue or something like that, or they got like a big campaign for like Maybelline. But then they go back to like them just sitting on their couch, and they take out a photo, enjoying, what they do every day in their life, Totally. So that's when you see like, what should I be posting on my Instagram? And your like guide should be like, this top models that you like and follow. What are they posting? How do they post?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I need to do better at that myself. I've been, working on that for sure. That whole balance, definitely.
Yeah. So, I wanted to go back to the whole like age thing. And
yes.
So like so many aspiring models are concerned about their age, and you see it with any age. I usually get messages between girls between like 15 to about 30, like maybe like the oldest I usually get. And they're all concerned. Like a 15-year-old is concerned of being too old to model, just as a 20-year-old, just as a 25-year-old. So what would you tell the people that are listening, like about their age, like to not be concerned with it and still try, even if you're like 20, 30, 15,
Yes. I would, outside of our industry in general, I would say you are never too old to follow your dream for absolutely anything. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I was able to, I had prior experience, but to be able to, make that comeback is, one story that I hope inspires people. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, 2 women I've met in recent years. One I shot with this summer, and she is in her 40s, and she just started in her 40s.
Nice.
She is, I'm going to try to remember what she told me of her story, but she lives in Maine. She, just was asked by some local businesses in her neck of the woods to, small businesses to do some modeling. I think it might have even been, in her friends of hers. And she is a ray of sunshine, stunningly beautiful, and, just radiates, in an image. And, her friends encouraged her to email them down to my agency in Boston. And she was signed in her 40s, and now she's, we booked a job together, and we were, so both there from Maggie, and she shared the story with me.
Yeah. And she's in Maine. She's not even in Boston or like Massachusetts, right?
Yeah. Well, New England's so small. It's like New England's kind of, everything is, where she is probably like an hour and 45 minutes off or something. So it's
she's
bad.
Not like local,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. New England's kind of like one big state in a sense. But, and then another woman I worked with, just started in her 60s. She was, I'm almost positive she told me it was something along the lines of she was at a museum opening or a museum gala fundraiser, like something at a museum where there was a professional photographer going around photographing the event, and she was just a guest of the event. And this photographer said, do you model? Have you ever modeled? Like you really should be modeling, and really encouraged her and, you know, told her to reach out to Maggie and, you know, gave her that push and encouragement. And she's in her 60s. She's a grandmother, and she's like, I'm living a second life. Like and having a ton of fun. And another just, you know, radiant, beautiful, positive energy person for sure. So, I mean, if those two stories don't tell someone somewhere that it's never too late. First of all, it's never too late to try anything. One of my, regardless of age, one of my favorite expressions is the answer is always no if you don't ask. So you could ask and the answer is no, or you could not ask and the answer is no.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So don't not try, don't not submit. If, you know, I mean, you can keep it private. You don't have to go advertising to everybody, you know.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it private and just kind of see. And even when I first started modeling, I didn't tell anyone right away. I wanted to kind of feel it out. I wanted to see, I'm talking like 20 years ago. I kept it private, personal, just my family knew. I wanted just to kind of see how it went, see how I did, see if I liked it. You know, not everything needs to be on social media. If someone wants to give it a shot, they can keep it to themselves for now. And
yeah, exactly. So to end this interview, I have a question that I ask all of my guests. And it is like, what would you tell someone that's listening to the podcast right now that they don't feel good enough? They don't feel that they're pretty enough, tall enough, their skin is not good enough. Whatever it is that they're insecure about, they think that that thing is gonna not let them model. Like, what would you tell them?
Oh my goodness. That's a big one. Because it's something I work on with myself every day. I mean, self-worth is an everyday, reminder, effort. I would say you have to somehow dig deep in yourself and believe in yourself. It is very dangerous to put external self-worth, you touched on this earlier, to put external self-worth and validation for anything outside of yourself, whether it be a job or relationship. So much of that, like you spoke about this, that happiness needs to always originate from inside here. It can't be, if I do this, I'll be happy. If I get this relationship, if I get married, I'll be happy. You know, it has to always somehow originate from inside you. Find ways to believe in yourself, just however it needs to be done. But just believe that, and now more than ever, we are really seeing a shift to, beauty representing lots of, the beauty is represented in lots of different ways, whether it's transgender, cancer survivor, different abilities. I mean, it's now more than ever, we're seeing it. And I would encourage girls to always be working on that confidence, that self-worth, and believing yourself from the inside out, not externally, not comparing, not thinking you're supposed to achieve anything by a certain age, and being grounded within yourself. Work in progress. It is I have not perfected anything.
It is. Believe me, I know. And, but yeah, thank you so much, Meredith, for being on the podcast and sharing.
Thank you so much.
Story.
I feel like we could go around too someday because
yeah, there's so much. Yes, but yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you
for sharing your personal life with us and the things that you've learned and giving us, tips, advice, and everything like that. So yeah, I'll put your social media on the description box if anybody wants to follow you, reach out. But yeah, thank you so much, and thank everybody for listening to this episode. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Andrea. You are doing wonderful with everything that you're doing, and I wish you the best of luck for sure.
Thank you so much.